Good morning. The other day I talked about body condition scoring. And I'd mentioned that many of the people in my area, many of the ranchers are people who will tend to, not all, this is just kind of a generalization, but many will tend to overgraze the area and they really do everything they can to not feed unless it's absolutely necessary. And due to that, their body condition score goes down. The animals themselves look poor and, hi, sweetheart, and their conditioning goes down quite a bit due to this. In the process of kind of explaining that, I was trying to point out some things that we look at in body condition scoring, and I missed areas and I showed you a lot of generalized things that I just look for. Many times I'm not stopping to give a full body condition score. I drive through, make sure these guys are fed, make sure everybody's content, and I continue on down the line, and I go over and I water and feed the calves and make sure that they're all taken care of. So I kind of gave you a brief highlight of what we're looking for in body condition scoring, and I wasn't very thorough, number one, and there were many things that I missed or didn't point out or whatever. So one of the things that I'd said was that body condition scoring goes from like a 3 to a 9. And personally, a 3 is a cow or a steer, whatever, that's in really poor condition. The scale actually goes from like a 1 to a 9, and I honestly don't even want to see an animal that's at a 1. That's an animal that's completely emaciated. You can see its spine, its ribs, basically all its bones are poking out. They have no fat over any of the joints or the hips or anything like that, and their muscle tone, they have very little muscle tone, and it's an animal that's really just starved, is the easiest way I'm going to say it. A 9 is an animal that is obese. It's way over conditioned. You don't see many animals like that because generally people won't feed that much, and they won't allow an animal to get that far because it's kind of you're spending more money in feed and that kind of thing than that's required. It's not going to benefit us in any way as far as the product we're getting, meat or anything like that. But what I'm going to try to do today is I'm going to quit yapping so much, and I'm going to kind of try to pick a few animals here, and I'm going to point out things that we're looking for. I'm going to give you a much better idea of what you're looking for as far as body conditioning and things like that. One thing that I do want to note is some people can go, you can look at numerous different types of body condition scoring. You can go as far as looking at their hooves, looking at their eyes, looking at everything on the animal. And of course, depending on what you're doing, if you're showing, if you're looking for animals to show, then that would be more important. For the operation we have, of course, we want good feet that are not rotten or sickly or overly long or overgrown or anything like that. Out here we have a lot of rock and gravel and that kind of thing. I pointed that out in, sorry, still cold enough for my nose to drip a little. We have enough rock and gravel and different things like that generally our cows' feet and hooves don't get very long. So it's not really something we look at. If we happen to see one, that's maybe limping a little bit, lame on one shoulder, whatever, we'll start looking at what the cause of that is. But otherwise, there are many things that honestly I don't need to look at. I've showed you like say 22A, one of her ears got burnt. And to be honest, that doesn't make any difference to me. As long as she's still giving good calves and producing well, I'm not worried about the ears. It's generally not something that people eat, to be honest. So I'm going to quit yapping and I'm going to try to find a couple of different ones here that I can show you the different body scores that we're looking for, and different things like that, and where they line up as far as body condition scoring. One thing I will say is that many times I have a tendency to, as I drive through, my eye will kind of pick the ones that are less conditioned. But we don't have an animal that is less than a 5. There's not one that the ribs are showing or their backbone is showing. And those are kind of things that I look for, is their hip, around their hips and pin, or their hooks and pins, which is their pelvis basically. Um, but anyway, I'd mentioned the other day that we have maybe 5s is our score, and that would be a very minimum with the animals that we have. So let's get to work. I do want to say really quickly that if you got anything out of this, if you've learned anything more about the conditioning of animals, if you enjoyed what I put out, or if you just enjoyed 15 giving me a little trouble over here because she's looking for treats, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I really look forward to the comments, but please like and subscribe. Share it with your friends. If you know anybody that's interested in starting a homestead or getting involved with cattle or anything like that, please share and like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to try to do this to the best of my ability without the animals walking off like that one right there just did. I was going to use her for an example, but I'm going to try to pick this one here and see if she does not walk off. All right, one of the first things we're looking for on a cow, calf, steer, heifer, whatever it may be, is we're looking along the top line here, and we're looking to see, sorry, now we have a visitor, my bad. 15 is hoping I have treats. We're going to look right along her spine right there and determine, is there any of her spine that's exposed? Is it sticking out or anything like that? And you can see that we don't see any vertebrae or anything like that poking out. And she looks really nice as far as that goes. Jeez. And I apologize. I'm really trying to do this without moving too much, but the animals are going to kind of do what they do. One thing that's going to maybe change your look a little bit is because it's winter, they've got a lot of fur on right now. Their winter coat is really heavy, so that may be a little more difficult. But anyhow, if along there, hold on. If along their top line right there, if their spine is not showing in any way, which this animal's spine is not showing, then the minimum score this animal is going to get is going to be a 5. Additionally, the next thing you're going to look at is the ribs. Are any of the ribs exposed or protruding or anything like that? If those things are not sticking out, again, that just continues on with being a minimum score of a 5. So we know that the minimum condition this animal is in is a 5. The next thing we're going to look at, and this is going to be a little difficult because she is black and that kind of thing, but back here on her hind quarter, kind of, on the hind end right here, they have what they call the hooks and pins. And it's difficult because my camera is going to continue to try to focus in on my finger. But back here, you've got what we call the hooks, and the pins are in the very back. Maybe I'll switch to this one here. You can see right here, that would be her hook. That's the upper part of her pelvis right there. And so if those are sharp, okay, here's a better view, and I don't have her moving right at the moment, but right here would be her hooks, and behind, back here, would be her pins. Now, if she were emaciated or if she were not in really good condition, those would be really sharp and protruding out of her hide, and you would really see those. And that's kind of the area I was pointing out yesterday, is that hollow right there. And it's more to do with the hooks and the pins. If those are really sharp and they're really protruding out of the animal's hide right there, they don't have any fat cover, then that would definitely reduce the score of the animal. But she's got a good layer of fat over those two positions, and so her body score condition will remain at least a 5 or above. The next thing we're going to look at, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, is right around her tail head. If it's sunken in right around her tail and it's kind of creates a depression, then that would also reduce her body condition score. But you can see that it's filled in, and she's got a little level of fat right there, right on the right side, and around her tail right there, she's got a little bit of layering of fat. So that will increase her body score condition. Now, if that fat were not there and it was less or depressed or sunken in a little bit, then that would decrease their score as well. I'm going to try to find an animal I can see their brisket. The brisket would be the next thing you're going to look at. And you can see this cow here. Okay, on their brisket down here, right here, if it's just hide and there's no fat or deposits or anything like that, then that would also lower their body condition score. The last thing we're going to look at would be their muscle tone. I'm going to try to use this cow here. If this area, especially in their hip, which is going to be the easiest way to determine, if that is reduced or small, or you can see they're very thin in that area, that would definitely reduce the body condition score as well. You can see that this cow is really well developed, and she's got good musculature along her hip and her front shoulder, but you really can't see her front shoulder at this point. But you can see that she's got not only good musculature, but she's also got a little layer of fat over that. So that's going to increase her body condition score. All right. I walked out in the snow so I can get a better view of one of the animals right here. This is one of our heifers that is not quite 2 years old. She is really well filled out and developed. She's one of the ones we expect to start calving in about May. She's also got a really nice disposition and that kind of thing, which doesn't count toward body score, of course, but that's just something we look for. So if we were to look at this animal, you can see clearly that her spine, let me see if I can get a little better view. So she has got no spine exposed whatsoever. So that's going to tell us that her body score is a minimum of a 5. Looking at her ribs, although she's got a lot of hair, her winter coat is really heavy. You can see that there are no ribs exposed or anything like that. So it's going to indicate to us that, again, her body score is going to be a minimum of 5. If we look at her pins and her hooks back here, pins and hooks, they are not sharp, they're not protruding. As a matter of fact, you can barely see them. So that's going to probably increase her score to a little bit higher than a 5, somewhere around a 6. If we look at her brisket and her tail head, again, at the tail head back here, you can see there's fatty deposits right around the top of the tail, and back all around her tail is there's no sunken in area, and there's nothing that indicates that there's not that she's losing weight or thin in that area. Additionally, let me see if I can get over here to her brisket. And there, she's actually standing up well. You can see her brisket. It's going to be a little tough to tell. She lowered her head right there, but her brisket is kind of wide, and you can actually see that she's got good fatty deposits. Let me see if I can get her, raise her head. There we go. She's not really interested. She's wanting to eat. There we go. So you can see her brisket down here. You can see how wide it is, and it's got good filling in. It's got some fatty deposits. With those things being what they are, her body condition is going to be a minimum of a 6. For her age and her size and moving toward calving, this is kind of what I'm hoping for when we're moving towards calving, especially this time of year with all that cold we've had and all that. That's telling me that these animals are getting plenty to eat. Their condition is being maintained very well, and I don't have a lot to worry about as far as that. So these guys are in really good condition moving into spring. Things should start warming up, so that's going to help. They'll burn fewer calories and that kind of thing. So it'll be easier to maintain their body condition score and their body condition overall. Additionally, this cow here, same thing. I was looking for earlier that dip, and you can see that you can barely see her hooks and pins, meaning she's in really good condition. You can't see her spine. She's got good fat deposits at her tail head, and she's got good fat in her brisket area. So her condition again would be also a 6. Um, as far as condition scoring, they're saying that condition scoring will be optimal at a 5. I prefer my animals a little better than that. This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this condition of this animal right here. Not all animals are this well conditioned. We have a few that are a little older, so you can see their hooks and pins a little bit more. But overall, the musculature of these animals, let's see if I can show you her hip. You can see that she's got good muscular in her hip, and her shoulder. And it's not what I would say something like a bodybuilder where there you can really see the striations of the muscle himself. It's got a little slick layer of fat over it, so that would also bring up her body condition score. So you can tell with those things, with the indicators that I've shown you, that she is in really good condition as well. I hope that this was helpful to people watching. I know that it's difficult to know if you're not familiar with the animals what you're looking for when you're going to say a sale barn or for to a ranch that's selling off cows, heifers, bred heifers, steers, whatever it may be. So it may be if you're not familiar with the animals that it's difficult to tell what you're looking for. I gave a less than thorough evaluation the other day. Again, generally my eye kind of looks through the herd really quickly and I pick out, oh, that one looks like it may be needing a little more feed or whatever. Some of the animals are going to be taller than other animals. Some are going to be shorter and more compact, which would be a good indicator of that one that I showed you, the red heifer that I showed you off to this side. She's a little shorter, she's a little more compact, so she carries that weight a little bit differently than an animal that's going to be quite a bit taller. An animal that would be quite a bit taller would be that cow that has got the calf in there. She's still every bit of a 5. I would say she's probably a 5'5", maybe. But her condition, if you look at the two animals side by side, just right next to each other, you would say that one is in a better condition than the other. But that's actually not the case. It's actually just the way that they're built. The cow calf, that cow, number one, is quite a bit taller and carries her weight quite a bit differently than this 13 does here. She still, you can't see her ribs, you can't see her spine. She's still got good filling in, good musculature. She's got fatty deposits around her tail, and she's got a little layering of fat in her brisket area. Not as much as this one here does, but again, she's also feeding a calf and those kind of things. So her body condition score will be a little lower, somewhere between a 5 and a 5.5. But nonetheless, she's still in really good condition. So that is something to recognize, is that a short, stout um, cow, steer, heifer is going to have, it's going to look different than a taller steer or cow or calf, whatever it may be, even though their body condition score may still be the same score overall. It's just the way they carry the weight. Again, I hope you liked. I hope this has been helpful, and please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. Thank you very much. Have a great day.